time for your NFL Expert Picks presented by FanDuel. And do we have an expert for you? It's the big bald guy right there, Kyle Long, who continues to get it. Not the little bald guy. Not the little old bald man. This is my guy. Yeah, Pete needs protection now. Pete's so old he needs a protector. That's Pete Prisco. That's Kyle Long. That's Amanda Guerra, who's perfect in her best bets, by the way.
Thank you.
And I'm Chris Hassel.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up with you?
How do you know Hassel acting weird?
Yeah, I know. He's starting to act a little
man is on
weird. Kyle is on fire. We're going to show how well he's been doing here as we take a look at the Week 10 NFL games. We are headed to Germany there for the Giants and Panthers. We're going to pick on that game.
Only the best for the folks in Germany.
You know.
Giants and Panthers, right?
You're German, right?
Nope, not at all.
I don't know. Kyle, 11-5 last week. Your best bets are 8-1.
Is that your new picture?
That's from about 2 years ago. What is it that you're doing so well right now, Kyle?
Look, they're not asking me to reinvent the wheel. They say who's going to win this football game, and
No, not who's going to win. It's against the spread.
Right.
Give yourself some more credit.
you know what? I'm not. I'm getting kind of lucky. You know, it's a long season, but right now we're doing well. I'm happy with it. And then
You're on fire. I got to give you credit, man. Nobody in that seat has ever been that hot. I can tell you that.
Well, that's because Brady Quinn was the only other person that sat.
But here's the thing I got to tell everybody about.
Yeah.
We're sitting in the green room on Sundays, and we start getting texts, Jack and myself, about, my best bet, the Cowboys, or the Falcons. The game's in the third quarter. And he
Game
said,
was over.
No?
Game was over.
You almost pushed yourself.
No, not going to happen.
You know what he ended up?
What?
He almost mushed himself.
Okay.
You know what else? You know what happened, though? He mushed my best bet. Because I had the Eagles, and they're up 22-0, and Nick Sirianni doesn't know how to kick extra points or kick field goals, and then they convert a 4th and 12 to go get the Omeo Mayo at the end of the game and get the cover against me.
It's got to be winners, Pete.
It's Wednesday. I feel like you've been waiting for a while to get that off your chest. I'm glad you did. Let's get into the picks. Coming up for Week 10, let's start with the Bengals at the Ravens. They're Ravens favored by 6.5 in this one. The total 52 and a hook. You guys, opposite sides to begin.
I want that. I like that.
You like that? Okay, so Pete will go with you
He's gonna go
first.
rotten, so I like being on opposite sides of things. It's just
I'm going to be about 3 beers deep by the time Derrick Henry hits the 100-yard mark in this one. I'll be giving him a nice phone call on Thursday. I got the Ravens in this thing. Look, I love the Bengals offensively. I think that the Ravens have done a good job against all opponents, really running and passing with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. But it's the other side of the ball. It's that Bengals defense. Can they stand up toe-to-toe with this rushing attack of the Ravens? I don't think anybody really can at this point. Give me the Ravens in this one.
I don't think either one will stand up against the other's offense.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a fun, high-scoring game, loads of offense, and I think the Bengals will find a way to stay within the number. They're not going to win the game, but they will be right there at the end.
Divisional rivalry.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, and he's played well against the Ravens. I think he plays well here. I like the Bengals plus the points.
All right, so this week is a little bit different. I mentioned the Munich game. That's Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's the Giants and the Panthers. So you don't have to get up early like you normally do, Pete. You don't have to watch this game, but if you're going to pick it, what do you think?
Why are they doing this to the German NFL fans? I mean, my gosh, the Giants and the Panthers, this is horrendous. I mean, at least one team, you'd like to see one team be good, and they're not. You get Bryce Young, you get, Daniel Jones. I mean, if you're a German fan out there, that's how not to play quarterback, probably.
Bryce Young has nobody to throw it to anymore.
No, he doesn't. They traded everybody away. I think this is a good spot for the Giants. I really do. I think this is a chance. The Panthers are not a very good team. They won last week because the Saints are a terrible team as well. I think the Giants have played well in certain games. They've stayed in games. They've won games at times again on the road at Seattle to surprise some people. I think they handle their business and win this game.
I hope that the Germans fans held on to some of that surplus Oktoberfest beer.
Oh, yes.
That'll be a quick way to get through this game. Panthers, Giants. I'm going to be picking the Giants in this one. Who do I trust more? It's the Giants. I like their staff a little bit more than I like Carolina. When you go to Europe, you're going to need good leadership. I think they own this spot.
Stout? Right? Is that what it is? Stein. Huh?
I think that's what they say. Cheers, like bros.
They do.
That is it, exactly.
That is a Sunday morning. Let's go to the Sunday night game. This is interesting. We have the Lions going up against the Texans. Texans are at home, and that's where they have done well. Not so good on the road. I love this. So we have the Texans coming off their loss to the Jets, and this is what Kyle had to say.
This is wild.
He's taking the Texans. What an idiot.
You were listening. Okay,
I was listening.
Wow.
Okay, so So every Wednesday I come in and I pick with Jack, our producer. And what Jack does, he's got the rundown on his computer. It's got Pete's picks, which are already in there. I give you credit. You're always prepared. But I come in and Jack goes down the line and I make my picks. He covers up Pete's picks. So after I make mine, the big reveal happens and I realize you took the Texans. You don't even want to win. It's like you're playing the game. You don't want to win. The Lions are the hottest team in football. The Texans took a dump in their pants 2 weeks in a row. They can't block a nosebleed if they have to. Well, the Lions went and got a pass rusher. Let's test them out against Houston, who can't stop anything at the offensive line position. So give me the Lions.
So the Texans pushed the pile. Is that what you're saying?
They pushed the pile. They pushed the pile. They leaked the pile.
By the way, you're getting a little cocky for midway through the season.
A little sassy over here. I have won 6
Middle of the season, you gotta find juice, even if it's manufactured.
You know what November's about. You know what November's about.
Mustaches.
Contenders emerging and pretenders falling off. See ya. You're going to start falling off.
Okay.
I'm thinking the Texans back-to-back road games for the Lions. The Texans at home, desperate team, gotta get back on track. I think they find a way.
I feel bad for
I
feel bad for
I think
CJ
they win the game. Division game last week for the Lions. Now you're out on the road against a team in a non-division game. That's a good formula on the Texans.
I think the Lions did enough at the deadline. Thought they needed another pass from them.
That's bad ball.
That's fantastic.
I had to let you know.
I don't mind. He's getting a little cocky here.
It deserves to be at this point. Monday Night Football, it's the Dolphins and Rams, and the Rams have won 3 straight, Pete, after that 1-4 start. Sean McVay, again, another great coaching job.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you look at what he's done, it's amazing because they've navigated through so many injuries. The offensive line was decimated. You saw the wide receiver position get decimated. And now all of a sudden, guys are getting back. And you look at the Rams and you go, wow, they're looking like the Rams again. The young defensive players are growing up on that side of the ball. You know, Fisk is playing well. Verse is playing well. And this is one of those teams that they're going to get better and better. And Sean McVay is a great coach. And when you look at what Les Snead's done with this roster, fantastic roster turnover after the Super Bowl, I'll take the Rams to handle the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I got the Rams as well, and you pointed out on Pushing the Pile this week, you gave kudos to Les Snead. I have to do the same thing here with the way that they were able to reload on the defensive side of the ball, bolster that offensive group. A guy like Demarcus Robinson has come through big in the last few weeks, but with those 2 receivers, with Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, their ability to throw the football all over, you can't keep pace with this group. And now the defensive side of the ball is coming around too. Give me the Rams in this one.
Yeah. Back-to-back road games with the Buffalo.
Yeah.
Back home, and you got to go, those trips that you're used to taking.
I'm very tired, yes.
West Coast, what'd you guys push out this morning on Pushing the Pile?
Today we pushed out some mailbag. We had a little fun. Lige Doozable in there. It's always a fun episode on Wednesday.
You guys are ridiculous. Boy humor is out of control.
Coming up next, CBS has some real dandies on Sunday, including the Commanders and the Steelers, both teams making big moves at the deadline. Continuing our expert picks presented by FanDuel, let's take a look at the slate on CBS. And it's a good one. How about this? We've got the Steelers Commanders highlighting the early window. Late window, it's the Cowboys hosting the Eagles, who have been resurgent. The Jets trying to keep their slim playoff hopes alive against first place Arizona out west. All right, let's start with that Steelers-Commanders games, and it's 2 division leaders, 7-2 Commanders, 6-2 Steelers. Pittsburgh went out and got Mike Williams and Preston Smith, and the Commanders went out maybe the biggest move at the trade deadline and got Marshawn Lattimore, Pete.
Yeah, and that's big for them because we talked about it yesterday when we took the trade deadline. They can move Mikey Sainristil inside to play the nickel corner, which is where he should have been playing all along. And now you have 3 good corners across the board. My thing I want to see here is Russell Wilson on the road. We saw him against the Jets in prime time. They were down 2.5 defensive backs in that game. We saw him against the Giants, who were down 2 defensive backs in that game in prime time at home. Now you're out on the road, and I think it's going to be a bigger challenge for him to get that offense going the way he wants to get going. I think Jay Daniels will have success throwing it here. That's a big-time offense right now because of him, the improvement of the offensive line. You block T.J. Watt, I think you have success. I'll take the Commanders.
Yeah, the guy who has blocked T.J. Watt in years past is Andrew Wiley, the right tackle for the Washington Commanders. When he was in Kansas City, I watched it with my own eyes. He battled with T.J. Watt, so he's seen this guy before. And for the Steelers, adding Mike
surprise for you.
Yes! Thank God! Your favorite comedy series is on Pluto TV. All aboard! The King of Queens, now streaming free on Pluto TV.
Russell Wilson, another option out there at the receiver position. I have said, I've just pounded this home all week. George Pickens has been incredible the last 2 weeks, but we can't count on him to be mentally checked into these football games week in, week out with the kind of production he's had for Russell Wilson. You have to think the shine wears off eventually. I do love Najee Harris's uptick. He's been a really good production guy for them at the running back position, but I just think it's all for naught. It's just not enough to compete with Jaden Daniels and this Commanders football team right now. Give me the commies.
There was almost a little siren going off there when he's talking about
Didn't do it. Just looking out for my buddy.
You called them the commies?
The Commanders.
Is that their new nickname, the commies?
It's I shorten everything.
Might as well. They're DC. Call them commies.
Yeah, come on.
Election day's over with. Who cares?
Okay, hey, let's move on here. Let's go to the Broncos and the Chiefs. Broncos, look, they're coming into their own, but then you go up against the Ravens, and welcome to the big boys.
Yep.
They're going up again on the road against the Chiefs here. It's a big number, 8.5 though, in favor of the Chiefs. Pete, what do you think about it?
Well, I think that game last week in Baltimore kind of exposed the Broncos a little bit. They got behind. Bo Nix wasn't ready to handle coming from behind, and I think we're going to see that in this game as well. I think we also saw Patrick Mahomes start to come alive a little bit with the passing game, and I think that will play out here. I think you'll see him put up some numbers, and Bo Nix will turn the ball over. The Chiefs defense didn't play that well the other night. I think they bounced back and played better here. I'll take the Chiefs minus the point.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a track meet against Tampa Bay, who was down a litany of stars on that offense, but credit Liam Cohen and Baker Mayfield. But for this one, you're not trotting out there with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. It's a rookie. It's Bo Nix. He's playing against the undefeated, back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I love the Chiefs in this spot. To your point, the Chiefs had an uptick in offense, but they fell off a little bit defensively. I think this one could be close. I don't think it's enough. Give me Kansas City.
That's another one on CBS, as is Bills at Colts. Pete, Josh Allen is the MVP favorite right now, and you told us on trade deadline day you think the Bills were the biggest winners before the deadline. Why is that?
By getting Amari Cooper. I think he didn't play last week, but getting him and adding him to the offense creates big matchup problems for the defense, because now you can't double Dalton Kincaid, and you see Keon Coleman starting to make plays down the field in the passing game. Shakir is a big guy underneath. They have so many weapons now because Amari Cooper adds to that group and becomes a number one wide receiver, and they can run the ball. They're physical on the offensive line. Their offensive line doesn't get enough due for how well they're playing. I think they go into Indy and really move the ball up and down the field.
I'll crank the O-line siren too, because Aaron Kromer's their offensive line coach. That's the guy that brought me into the National Football League. I know what he's about on a day-in, day-out basis, and what he puts a premium on in that group. You see from their technique, their tenacity, their demeanor, they all play the same brand of football, and I think it pairs really well with how Josh Allen plays the game of football. Not only is he a big arm, he can provide those big plays down the field, throwing it with a guy like Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman coming along, but when the play breaks down, or if you do have an added pressure guy from the second level, he can make a miss. He can stiff arm a guy, take off for 15, 20 yards. That's the X factor. I love the Bills.
Well, we can't give the alarm when we're defending a good offensive line. No. It's when you're defending a spinning tom or something.
The spinning tom.
They quietly get their job done.
He made me kill the spinning tom. He did. He came to me. He said, if you put a spinning top together, this is joking.
Disrespect.
I didn't
say that.
Allegedly. You guys are praising Baker Mayfield just a little bit ago, being able to push it to overtime in KC against the Kansas City Chiefs there. They did come up with the L. They're back at home, but they're hosting the 49ers. We could see, finally, Christian McCaffrey back in this game. Debo's looking positive as well. Kyle, I'll start with you on this one.
What I saw last week from the Buccaneers defense was a little bit concerning because of the way they were ran on at the line of scrimmage. When I look at the San Francisco 49ers team, the way that they try to put makeup on this thing is run the football. That can take care of all your ills in terms of the injury department, but they are getting healthy. I think it's going to be more of the same from Kyle Shanahan in this offense. We love Dominic Beauty, Trent Williams, these guys. They're real glass eaters at the line of scrimmage. I like the 49ers in this one. I don't love the 49ers in this one, though. I think it'll be another game where Liam Cohen comes out as the OC and has another masterful performance. I think he's been great the last few weeks.
Yeah, the 49ers are coming off a bye. No team did a bye more than the 49ers did. It came at a great time for them. They're going to get healthier, and it's a long trip kind of gets taken by the Bucs played on a Monday night. And here's the other thing. We haven't seen the best of the 49ers defense yet either. That's coming. We know there's talent on that side of the ball. Right. We know there's talent on that side of the ball. They're going to need to start getting after it. I worry about the Bucs here coming off that tough emotional loss. I'll take
Physical game. That was a physical game.
Interesting note about the 49ers, NFL best 23-4 in the second half of the season since 2021. Is that how we say that?
That's when stars.
2021.
Yeah, stars show up. Stars show up in November and December, and they have a roster full of stars.
And that's a really smart coach who does a lot of self-scouting in that building, so they figure out where their weaknesses are, and they say, we just need to hit the strong points.
All right, let's move from the Bucs to a couple of teams facing off in that division, the NFC South. It's the Falcons who are in first place, but didn't make a move at the deadline, Pete, against a Saints team that fired their head coach.
Yeah, they should have made a move to get a pass rusher. They didn't, but in this game, it's not really going to matter. The Saints are not a very good team. They've been decimated by injuries. I mean, in fairness to Dennis Allen, who was fired, the head coach, they were just crippled by injuries across the board. The offensive line shelved itself. They didn't have Carr for a while. The receivers are out. It's just a bad situation. I don't think Derek Rizzi's going to fix things. He might bring a little the Rizzler. He's going to bring a little for half a game or something. So I think the Falcons will go in there, throw the football around, and find a way to win the game and cover.
Yeah, the Falcons, they've been really good in the run the last few weeks, and they got one of their guys on the offensive line going back last week. You see Bijan Robinson's volume going up. It just spells a quick hitting win against the New Orleans Saints. I think they should be on the plane in record time in this one.
The Rizzler, is that? What are you doing over there?
The Rizzler.
Is that kid from the thing with the boom that you guys were trying to make me do? And I didn't know what it was.
He's like this big.
Yeah, about a foot tall.
What?
Pocket superstar.
But then you did one of those little videos.
Yeah, boom.
I don't get it. I don't get it either.
I've seen it, and
You're all about that.
I've seen it, and I don't get it.
I don't get it. Our social guy tried to make us do that.
Just make a video.
What about this one? This is an easy pick. Vikings 4.5 going up against the Jags. We don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to play. Cam Robinson facing his old team. Beat Vikings.
This is the best spot. So why? Because they're done. I mean, they're finished. They showed up, which I was really surprised that they didn't quit the second half against the Eagles. 22-0. They came back, actually had a chance to win the game, and called a wheel route to the third string running back in a key situation on first down. Have no idea why, but they did it. So I think they're done. And when you look at the Vikings are still right smack dab in the middle of everything. I think they'll come in, they'll push them around. And on the other side of the ball, you can't get yards on first and second down. And where's that problem with that? The Vikings defense is so good. They're so good. I think the Vikings think of like,
Yeah, the playbook opens up so much for these teams when you get into third and unmanageable situations. And for the Vikings, they're chomping at the bit to be able to dial up some of these exotic pressures. And if you're telling me it's not going to be Trevor Lawrence, it's going to be a backup quarterback in there with a litany of pressures in his face. I love the Vikings in this one.
if you want to beat the Vikings, you got to run the ball on the Vikings. Jacksonville has not done a great job of running the football.
Okay, a lot of agreement from you two.
I know, I don't like
You also
it.
like the over.
I do like it. I think it gets a little loose.
All right, loose. All right. One more early game on Sunday to finish. Patriots at Bears. Kyle, the Bears sticking with Shane Waldron as play caller. You called it last week. You said you didn't like the spot for the Bears coming off that Hail Mary loss to the Commanders, and that was ugly in Arizona.
Yeah, they're testing that team's chemistry and their bond. And honestly, there's so much more than what you put on tape that leads to who you are. And I think some of the finger pointing, some of the rumblings we've heard that are supposed to stay in-house that have gone out of house, they're out of school, so to speak. It doesn't bode well for this Bears team. I'm concerned about this matchup, too. The number, I think that the Patriots could cover this thing. And it would be a real shame if Drake May goes out there and outperforms Caleb Williams with the experience that Caleb has been able to accrue at the beginning of this football season. Drake May just went in there, and he's looked like a guy who's got some juice. We know I like Caleb Williams, but this guy Drake May's been fun to watch, too. And if it hasn't
Drake May.
if it hasn't been hard enough listening to people compare Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, don't let him get started with this guy doing money either. I got the Bears in this one. I got the Bears. I have feelings I have to get out. That's why I get to go on the desk.
You know, you talk about all this stuff coming out of the Bears. They're all questioning the head coach. And that's never a good thing. It's a bad situation. The offensive line is beat up. Both tackles were out last week, and that was a major problem. Caleb Williams has completed under 50% of his passes the last 2 games. That's, you know what that is? That's Anthony Richardson territory. You don't have the Mendoza line. I mean, he's not Anthony Richardson, but the Mendoza line, it's terrible. He needs to pick it up. I think he does pick it up. New England, they showed last week they turned the ball over. They came back. They got a